Welcome back to Business Talk here on businesstech.co.za. Now, South Africa talks a lot about entrepreneurship. It was a bit of a focus in the recent budget, but far too often the talk stays abstract. We have big policy conversations, we deliver reports, we've got lots of well-meaning intentions that don't always translate into the lived experience of our entrepreneurs on the ground. Today's conversation is really different because sitting with me are two entrepreneurs who aren't case studies or hypotheticals. They are proof that when impact investing is done properly, when you pair capital with capability and mentorship and long-term thinking, it really can be transformative. So I'm joined by Likhanya and Trudy Mkansi, both entrepreneurs who come through the ecosystem supported by the SAB Foundation and its flagship Tolana Enterprise program. We're going to talk very honestly about what it takes to survive and grow as an SME in South Africa, and the wins and the setbacks and the highs and the lows, because it is a tough journey. Jean, Trudy, great to have you on Business Talk. Before we get into the mechanics of your businesses, maybe let's take a step back. You've both received structured support that helped you reach this point in your entrepreneurial journey. Jean, let's just start with you. What form did that support take, and at which moments do you think it mattered most to you?
Yeah, thank you for that. The SAB Foundation really came into the space where I felt at that time of my business, I had paid enough school fees and I felt I wanted to take a level up. And that was really my conversation with them. But then I think what was more important on my side was that during the jump that I wanted to make, I felt it important then, given industry, given dynamics, and given the circumstances of others, I felt that it was important to bring other farmers along with me during the support that I received from the foundation.
Tell me a little bit more about what your business actually entails in the agri space before I move on to Trudy.
Yeah. So we are in the core business of primary production in agriculture. So we are specifically in the horticulture business, where our core business is the production and processing of macadamia. And then we also diversify through avocados and bananas as well. And what I meant by tagging others along, I think having experienced other farmers with similar challenges that I had starting from the ground up, I felt it important that during my transition of support, I'm able to lobby in support to help their farms increase, be it scale, be it trees, be it technical support, be it mentorship, be it mechanization. In many ways or forms, I felt that it's important to bring the other guys with me so that we're able to create scale and value and purchasing ability and bargaining ability in the sort of markets that we entertain.
Yeah, and scale, as you say, in your market, in that kind of agri space with macadamias and other produce is vitally important, where I think, across Africa, we've seen potentially the small scale farmers really battle in areas that you've just mentioned to bring that volume game to the table and then to have some kind of bargaining power as well. Trudy, could you share with us, firstly, a little bit more about your business and the kind of support that you've received that's helped you reach this point in your entrepreneurial journey?
Thank you, Michael, for having us. So for me, we specialize in manufacturing of high quality outdoor furniture pieces, and we're based in 4 ways. The kind of support that I've received from the SAB Foundation, it's quite a lot of support. Beside the grant, the finance that they help with, there has been a lot of training and also the access to their network. They've helped us to network with people within their ecosystem, and also the mentorship as well. For me, I think it helps a lot because through those mentorship sessions, we were able to learn more things and have the opportunity to avoid common mistakes that other MMSs they make, especially in the early ages of the business. So I think for me, the program covered so many things. And the nice thing about it is with my business, I got to know about the SAB Foundation from a very early age of my business. So yeah.
And interesting that we were chatting before we started recording that you graduated from the program just before the first lockdowns of COVID in February of 2020. A couple of months later, you had your second child in the midst of, I think it was level 5, where we couldn't go into hospitals. Your husband couldn't even be with you. That must have been an extremely difficult period for you personally, for your business as well. Am I going to be able to sell these products, this outdoor furniture? All the big stores, the retailers were locked down. What did that period of support give you in terms of a tool set or a mindset to deal with such adversity?
I think one of the qualities that you need to have as an entrepreneur is you need to be able to have, some level of resilience and adaptability. I think when that time came, we had to make a decision very fast, and we had to adapt to the changes that, some other thing, just like COVID, no one saw it coming. And so we had to make decision very fast. And these are some of the qualities that, you had to learn and as you grow the business. And obviously, one thing that you always carry is the passion. Because when all these kind of things happen, you had to go back and say, be reminded of why did you start or why you do what you do. And so I was so resilient enough to bounce back, even when like situation kept on changing or any challenges that we had to come across. And some of the things were things that I had to learn from the SAB Foundation program, because the program itself was, for me, we have said I had just recently graduated. It was more than just having the certificate. So the whole program was really about it, unlocking your true potential in everything. And that's what the program did to me personally and to my business as a whole. Yeah.
And, Jean, just to build on that, entrepreneurship, I think, is often romanticized, right? We love to talk to the entrepreneur. If in the startup world and you just maybe raise some Series A funding or whatever, and you're growing, and people don't talk about the hard times. That's the tip of the iceberg. Underneath that iceberg is all those hard moments that Trudy just spoke about. And I think anyone who's done entrepreneurship knows it's a test of temperament as much as talent. So from your lived experience, what are the non-negotiable qualities that an entrepreneur needs to really survive and grow in the SME space in South Africa?
That's a very important question. I feel that everybody out there, friends, people that we talk to, they tend to see the other side of where they see things working out. But the underlying, it's actually rough down there. It's nice to see the beautiful orchards, but how to get them there is never easy. I think an important quality personally is discipline. If you really if you don't have the discipline to do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it, is the basic stuff that you need as an entrepreneur. Opportunities don't wait for people, and there's very soft skills when you connect with people. It's I was fortunate enough in my younger days. I grew up with a military background, so I sort of understand what it means to make an appointment on time. Because the moment I missed that time, the moment I missed my 10 a.m., I really don't know what environment I've created around what was supposed to happen. Are they talking good or bad? How is he supposed to manage his money if he's always late? So there's those very soft skills, but I feel that discipline for me is quite critical. Trudy brought up the issue of resilience. Resilience comes in many shapes or form. You have to be present, good or bad. You missed payday, you didn't miss payday. You have to show up all the time as an entrepreneur, because I feel that the people we work with, our workers, our employees, our stakeholders, I think they understand the vision, the larger picture, that we're trying to build here. It's no different than a KFC story. I mean, difficult days were there, but look where those businesses are standing. And I don't think it's any easier of a journey, or it's supposed to be any easier of a journey for me than those that have preceded. So I'd say the two key things would be resilience and discipline. Then the rest you can build in around yourself as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, those are two great qualities, and I think the one thing we certainly have as South Africans in spades is resilience, right? Because we operate in a tough environment. It's almost encoded in our DNA. Where I think we could probably improve is on the discipline side. And I look around the place and I get emails from people to say, Michael, I want to get into business and I've got this idea. So I said, well, how many funders have you approached? Nah, one or two, but they didn't. So I'm like, well, you've got to carry on going. You've got to get up and you've got to do it again and again. And you've got to build that muscle memory and that discipline. And then we can really unlock all of that resilience and that latent potential. I want to come back to Eugene, though, just to find out, in the agri space is tough because you're dealing obviously with the issues you raised around scale, but the weather, the vagaries of doing things in an environment that is out of your control. What have been the toughest challenges that you faced as a business owner? And specifically, how did the SAB Foundation support help you navigate or maybe overcome that challenge?
I think you mentioned something quite interesting, and I'll take it back and I'll bring in the SAB. Something quite recent, I'd say 24 hours back, we found ourselves as a business, purely because of cash flow, we're busy planting energy crops. And God willing, everything is set, everything is supposed to happen, everything is ready on our side. And we found ourselves with temperatures as high as 38 degrees. And no plant will survive. No plant will survive. But my water is there. The water is there on the farm. Everything is in place. But there's some things that we really can't control. And we're talking amongst ourselves as a team. Jez, what do we do? But we've got enough water, but it's still not helping. The plants are dying. But fortunately, this morning we got around 11 mils of rain, which brought great joy to everybody. And it's those things where in business you can't control. It just has to happen, and the rest you have to leave it to divine. You have to leave it for the universe to handle. But I think bringing it back really to the SAB Foundation, I think if I take it back to our core business, is really where a 20-year vision is coming alive this season, where we've always had a challenge of processing and whatever scale you're working on, whether you've got 1 hectare, you've got 50 hectares, you still need the same pieces of equipment. Quality still remains quality. You cannot dodge, you cannot miss it. You still need to deliver the same product to the market. And I think where the SAB really came in is where they supported us with infrastructure really to process product. And what I'm excited about is that this year we'll be able to support 150 small scale farmers within and around our area that have been having a similar challenge for 20 years. But all of a sudden, we are able to compete equally, fairly. We are able to present a product in uniformity to the market coming from previously disadvantaged farmers. Because, I think it's something that just had to happen. But the moment that starts happening, we've got fair equity going back to these 4 small-scale farmers. They're able to increase the production, the quality, value for money into their pockets. They're able really they start having dignity back into themselves, into their orchards, into what they do. And, those things, they sound really small, but in the bigger scheme of things, that is impact for me, because all of a sudden, the smaller numbers start multiplying through one instrument where the SAB Foundation supported us with the agro-processing side of our macadamia business.
Yeah, listen, that to me is the real, people call it transformation, right? I like the word normalization, because we come from such an abnormal history and past, and all what we're trying to do is normalize South African society. We want to give equal opportunities to entrepreneurs, to children, to study, to be able to have dreams that they can go out and become entrepreneurs and build their own businesses. But because of that abnormal past, there are there's an unequal playing field. And so access to finance, access to mentorship just isn't there. And with programs like this, you start to level their playing field and get to that normalization. So I think it's just a fantastic example of the power of entrepreneurship, but again, paired with the right kind of ecosystem as well. Trudy, from your point of view, and I know entrepreneurs, you run headfirst into obstacles. If it's cash flow stress, if it's what Jean just said about dealing with the vagaries of the climate, access to markets, what have been your big challenges that you've confronted as a business, and how have you got through them with support?
So we've been faced with so many challenges. I think from the beginning, it has been access to information and obviously cash flow, because there are solutions available, but if you don't have that access to information, it becomes so difficult and it gets very lonely out there. So, but one of the challenges that was also big for us is having to run a sustainable, eco-friendly business. So because we are very conscious of the material that we do, having to do things right and avoiding to do shortcut, it it requires us to think of the people, the planet, and sometimes your profit gets affected during that whole process. And it's very important to have organization that support businesses that are green or going green. And I think that's where the SAB came in, the SAB Foundation came in, because we have just been doing it from our DNA, wanting to be different from our competitors, and also trying to address the problem that our clients will come with, to say that I don't want furniture that won't last. What we see on the market does not withstand the weather conditions. So we wanted to give clients an alternative product that is sustainable and it's durable, so that they can enjoy their furniture pieces without having to worry about frequent replacement all the time. So we have discovered that having to run that process and making sure that you are conscious with every material that goes in our production, it requires a lot of spending a lot of money than what your competitors do. And when you have to put your product online, the first thing that you compete with is price. So we had to also spend a little bit more to educate our client that we're not just selling a product, but we're selling something that is very friendly to the environment, something that is durable, something that it's conscious and in all the whole processing. So I think where SAB came in is, besides just doing that, they help us to measure the impact, because it's one thing saying you running a sustainable business, but we also wanted to know, what does it mean? What impact
Yeah.
are we really giving out there? So it was through the SAB Foundation, the training that they gave us, and the machinery that they also funded for us, because we extrude our own raw material, making sure that we control the quality and we do what we say we do. So I think they have been very helpful. And I think, like I said in our earlier conversation, we have graduated for, I think it's over 6 years now with the SAB Foundation, but they still continue to support the business. And I think the reason why they are very intentional about the businesses that they want to work with, or the entrepreneurs that they want to work with. And in my case, I got to know about the SAB very early. And the only thing that I could offer on that application was just the vision. I had nothing else to support my application, but they saw it and they helped me to achieve my vision, and even beyond what I even thought of. So like I said before, they help you to unlock your true potential. And that's exactly what they did with me in the business.
And Mbesha Africa is now selling into some big outdoor retailers, and I believe amongst the top selling outdoor furniture products. Even though it may be slightly more expensive and premium, I think people realize when it's a durable, non-discretionary item, you want to pay for that quality. And if it's going to be living outdoors in 38 degrees in South Africa's sun and in that environment, you need quality. And just truly remarkable to hear, how that support is not just like a typical enterprise and supply development program. You go in for a year, you maybe get a bit of education, mentorship, and then you get a certificate at the end and off you go on your way. There's no follow-up. There's no durability. There's no sustainability for me in that model versus a model that requires more holistic thinking. Jean, in your business, I guess sustainability is something you're confronted with every day because you're working in nature. You're seeing the vagaries of nature. But how do you practically embed environmental responsibility into your operations? And I know that the agri sector broadly consumes roughly 60% of the country's water. So it's a big water user. I know there's a lot of focus on maybe improving irrigation, drip irrigation, that kind of thing. So how do you approach environmental responsibility?
Yeah, so I think that's farmers love water. Every farmer wants to see something happening water related. But those days have come and gone. I believe that as a young farmer, we really take advantage of technology that's made available to us. I think the most outdated one would be the basic weather app to know that if I've got rain tomorrow, I can really not irrigate today. I can wait until tomorrow. Nothing that bad can happen over 24 hours because I can at least anticipate. Nowadays, there's technology, very advanced probes that really can give you a 99 or 100% accuracy to say that this is how much water you need or your tree's got enough water. So before you make any applications, you sort of measure first to understand what is it that you need, and then you give that exact amount of tree. So I feel that that's really being responsible to the resources we have. I think, one of the alternatives we have now, our macadamia business is a recent technology called biochar, where the waste of the macadamia shells, where we put that together, we burn that at a certain temperature, we infuse back into the soil to work as an organic sponge. So that when it rains, you don't drain all your water. When you irrigate, you don't drain all your water. You're able to retain. So there's so much information. There's so many practices out there from a fertilizer and inputs. These days, there's bacterial products that really make you make an alternative decisions as compared to the traditional fertilizers or the chemical fertilizers. So I think options are plenty out there. I just think farmers need to be alive to information. I think that's really what farmers really need to exercise information, ask where you need to ask, look for cheaper options. I always make an example that, back in the days, you could load a truck of fertilizer from Gauteng to Limpopo. For the same job, you can do that with a bucky load. It's purely about technology. The application still remains the same. The output will get the same, but things are just operating at a different level. So all in the name of sustainability and cost and all these other features that make a difference in the overall numbers and profitability and responsibility of the business as well.
And macadamia farming is globally competitive and brutally unforgiving on quality and pricing. So you've got to ensure that your product remains competitive in international markets while still building a sustainable local operation as well.
Absolutely, Michael. The market is asking more and more questions. They're asking about who picked that nut, when, why, how were they clothed? Can you give us confirmation they were sanitized? What fertilizers do you use? What inputs do you use? There's so many answers that we sort of having to answer as farmers. So you're 100% spot on that quality and traceability of product these days is priority. And not to say that as competitive it is, I think if you've got the right practices, if you've got the right systems, and you also farming responsibility, some people will pay the price as well. So it's not always about the price. I think if you can back your actions with the output and if you can back that information up to your buyers and you can warrant and explain to them this is why I feel, maybe pay me XYZ dollar for my price. Believe me, there are customers that will listen to that conversation and pay for it.
And when it comes to information, what kind of internet broadband coverage do you have in the areas in which you farm? Because I kind of look at the Starlink debate at the moment, and I think, wow, our farmers surely could do with that kind of connectivity in the rural areas. Not to mention our schools and others. So that's how you access information.
No, absolutely. I think, up in the valleys where we are, I think we'd shift around the farm just to get 4G. So we're not debating too much about connectivity and speed. We're just debating about, I want access to information. I think if we forward looking, then the internet is there. ChatGPT is there. Other platforms are there really to explore what may be the unknown, or I'm looking for certain facts. But where we never forget, is the experience. I think we've got very experienced farmers that we work with. And sometimes it's also good to take a step back and listen to the old school wisdom about how it was done, how can you save, how we did it. Not necessarily do it, but then learn from them as well. But you can always challenge it with what's available in future. So I think the trick is, how do we marry those two things and make conscious decisions about history and what is also lying ahead. We cannot ignore experience in what we do as a business.
Excellent points there, and great advice as well. If you're looking broadly, and we zoom out at South Africa at the moment, and maybe Trudy, you can pick up on this point. Our unemployment crisis can feel overwhelming at times, especially the youth unemployment, where if you look at the numbers, it's over 60%, the highest in the world. What would you say to someone who maybe feels a bit disillusioned or hopeless, but is considering taking the leap into entrepreneurship to say, right, I've got to do something. I can't just sit here and wallow and feel sorry for myself. What would you say to someone like that?
Oh, I think with all that is available right now, the technology, I would say go for it. I go for it. Even back then, I would have said go for it. I know the journey, it's scary. It has its challenges, but South Africa is full of opportunities that we need innovators to come on board and innovate, create solutions. Just be clear of what you want. Your vision needs to be clear. And, the problem that you need to solve has to be solid, but go for it. There is no better time. You will always be scared. It won't get easy. So the right time to do it is now. Just go for it. And like I said before, there is a lot organization such as the SAB Foundation. They have done a lot of good work out there, and they are organizations that are helping small entrepreneurs. So you need to, as long as you have that access to information, there's so many things that you can overcome if you know where to go and when to go. So just get that information. Like Jen said, there's access to AI now. You can, it's easier. It's easier now than then. So go for it. Yeah.
And I love that. And you don't have to go for it alone, because you're both graduates of the Toloana Enterprise Program. And so there are programs out there that can help you if you've got the right idea, if you've got the discipline and the resilience. So Jean, just maybe as a last thought, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs that might be considering applying to a program like the Toloana program?
I think my advice to them is really be authentic about who you are and what you want and what your dreams are. That's really the best advice I can give them. And journeys are different. Some people are starting, some people are halfway, some people are towards the end. And what is relevant for you at that time, that is the purest form of authenticity that you need to represent yourself. I mean, it's I'm a passionate farmer. I love what I do. And if passion is the best thing I can put on the table, I will do that. But I still deliver as a businessman. But, within the context of what I do and farmers that I work with, I sort of had to be somebody different in order to represent myself and my society as well, in the hope that we've got a bigger goal that we want to achieve within the industry.
but it's that passion that will help you develop the discipline and the resilience to get up when things are tough, when you maybe go through a drought or a moment where you just think, oh, I've done everything right, but then the universe, the weather gods or whatever are against me. But it's that passion that will make you get up a day in, day out and continue to run through walls. Jean, Likhanya, Trudy Mkansi, thank you very much for reminding us about what that entrepreneurial journey looks like and what impact investing looks like when it's grounded in authenticity, as you said, Jean, in real people and real businesses and amazing outcomes as well. Great sharing your journeys here on Business Talk. Thanks for your time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.